1800 hours Pakistan Standard Time. Assalamu alaikum. This is Radio Pakistan. The news read by Daman Zaman. The headlines. The joint session of the Parliament started in Islamabad this afternoon to discuss and pass some important bills. The foreign minister says India has been losing its credibility at international fora due to its aggressive posturing. The Special Assistant to National Security says Russia has supported Pakistan's stance regarding its political map. The Special Assistant to the Prime Minister on Youth Affairs says the government is committed to create jobs for skilled and trained youth across the country. The Organization of Islamic Cooperation has urged the United Nations Human Rights Council to effectively address human rights violations in Palestine, Indian illegally occupied Jammu and Kashmir, Myanmar, and Nagorno-Karabakh. In the Indian illegally occupied Jammu and Kashmir, the Indian troops in their fresh act of state terrorism have martyred two more Kashmiri youths in Baramulla district. And now the news in detail. The joint session of the Parliament started in Islamabad this afternoon with the Speaker Asad Qasir in the chair. The Parliament is expected to pass some important bills, including those relating to Financial Action Task Force's requirements to bring the country out of the Financial Action Task Force's grey list. The Foreign Minister Shah Mahmood Qureshi says India has been losing its credibility at all international fora in response to objection of India against Pakistan during the online meeting of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization National Security Advisors yesterday. The foreign minister said the attempt ended in humiliation as rejected by the forum, which was meant to address regional issues. The minister said Russia, being the host of the meeting, did not accept India's perspective. He said Jammu and Kashmir is a disputed territory already mentioned in the resolutions of the United Nations. On the Ladakh matter, the foreign minister said China urged upon India to resolve the matter through negotiations. However, India chose the path of aggression instead. He said at Ladakh front as well, India is facing humiliation. The Special Assistant to the Prime Minister on National Security, Dr. Moeed Yusuf, has said Russia has supported Pakistan's stance regarding its political map, which is according to the United Nations Security Council resolutions and international laws. Talking to the media in Islamabad today, he said yesterday's virtual meeting of the National Security Advisors of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization has rejected India's objections over display of Pakistan's political map in the meeting room. He said the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, in its response to Russia, clearly stated that the map, which was launched on 5th of August, Yom-e-Ihtisal, reflects our legal right and is according to the United Nations Security Council resolutions, and removing it from anywhere is unquestionable. He said Pakistan has clearly stated that Kashmir is neither a part of India nor it would be ever. The Economic Coordination Committee of the Cabinet has allowed the amendment in the import of customs duty-free cars under the Disabled Persons Scheme. The Advisor on Finance, Dr. Abdul Hafiz Sheikh, chaired the ECC meeting in Islamabad today. Under the new amendments, the income bracket of the person who is importing the vehicle has been increased from the current limit of 20,000 to 100,000 rupees and 100,000 rupees to 200,000 rupees per month. He will be allowed to import the vehicle if he has not imported or purchased locally assembled car during the last 10 years under the scheme, provided that he holds NTN certificate and files annual tax returns. The ECC approved the incorporation of Pakistan's Single Window Company under Section 42 of the Companies Act 2017 with its objectives as contained in the memorandum and articles of the association. The Special Assistant to the Prime Minister on Youth Affairs, Usman Dar, has said 500,000 youth will be imparted technical education and skills development opportunities during the next 5 years. Addressing a ceremony in connection with Kamyab Jawan program in Islamabad this afternoon, he urged the young females to get benefit from the program as the government has allocated 25 billion rupees out of 100 billion rupees for female youths. Usman Dar reiterated that the government is committed in creating jobs across the country involving skilled and trained youth in the economic system. The Minister for National Food Security, Syed Fakhar Imam, has urged the need for enhancing Pakistan-Netherlands cooperation in the fields of agriculture and livestock. Talking to the ambassador of the Netherlands, Walter Plomp, in Islamabad today, he invited the Netherlands to invest in dairy farming, agri-business, and food processing of Pakistan. Syed Fakhar Imam said Pakistan and the Netherlands have vast potential for collaboration in the fields of research in food security and livestock sectors. Pakistan International Airlines has announced its special flight operations to Najaf and Baghdad for Arba'in Hazrat Imam Hussain Raziyallahu Ta'ala Anhu. According to the spokesperson of the Pakistan International Airlines, passengers can now travel from Islamabad, Karachi, and Lahore to Najaf and Baghdad. He said the flights will operate from the 27th of this month to the 5th of next month. PIA has introduced special discounted fares for Zaireen. This is Radio Pakistan. The Organization of Islamic Cooperation has urged the United Nations Human Rights Council to effectively address the systematic human rights violations of the people suffering from long-running disputes in Palestine, Indian illegally occupied Jammu and Kashmir, Myanmar, and Nagorno-Karabakh. In a statement delivered on behalf of the OIC in Geneva, Pakistan's ambassador Khalil Hashmi said the Organization of Islamic Cooperation remains deeply concerned on the growing incidence of xenophobia, Islamophobia, and religious intolerance. He further said recent incidents of republication of blasphemous caricatures by French magazine Charlie Hebdo and burning of the religious text and ridiculing religious personalities constitute grave incitement to violence. The ambassador said there is no justification for such acts, invoking the right to freedom of expression. The OIC statement further said, we also urge the Council to implement recommendations contained in the United Nations High Commissioner for Human Rights 2 reports on Jammu and Kashmir. In the Indian illegally occupied Jammu and Kashmir, the Indian troops in their fresh acts of state terrorism have martyred 2 youth, including one in custody in Baramulla district. A youth identified as Irfan Ahmed was arrested during a raid at Tujjar Sharif in Sopor and was later killed in police custody. The authorities suspended internet services to prevent anti-India protests in the town. The family of the victim demanded an impartial probe into the custodial killing of Irfan Ahmed. The troops arrested several youths during military operations in Baramulla, Kupwara, Bandipora, Ganderbal, Pulwama, Shopaiyan, Rajouri, and Samba areas. Meanwhile, in a statement issued in Srinagar today, Hurriyat Forum led by Mirwais Umar Farooq said assertion made by the Modi government in the Indian Parliament that no one is under house arrest in the Indian illegally occupied Jammu and Kashmir is strange, surprising, and based on fabrication. The United Nations investigators say Venezuelan security forces and allied groups have committed systematic human rights violations, including killings and torture, amounting to crimes against humanity. In a statement, the United Nations fact-finding mission said reasonable grounds exist to believe that President Nicolas Maduro and his interior and defense ministers contributed to the crimes in order to silence the opposition. Prime Minister Imran Khan says there is a lot of cricket talent in Pakistan which needs to be groomed. He was addressing the signing ceremony of agreements between Pakistan Television, Pakistan Cricket Board, and cable operators regarding Pakistan cricket broadcast and cable distribution rights in Islamabad today. The Prime Minister said cricket setup in the country needs to be restructured, which will make Pakistan unbeatable in the world. And finally, the weather. Hot and dry weather is likely to prevail over most parts of the country during the next 12 hours. However, rain thunderstorm is expected at isolated places in Upper Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, Upper Sindh, and Gilgit-Baltistan. And that is the end of this news bulletin. For more news and analyses, log on to our website, radio.gov.pk, and you can also watch the live video streaming of our bulletins on the link facebook.com/Radio Pakistan News Official.